Welcome to this first joint Scottish forum. We've been running these across Scotland now since the lockdown in the morning. We'll be using the chat tonight. So any comments, any thoughts, fire it into the chat. I've got two people helping us tonight. We've got Duncan Collinson, who's a Governor nominee for 1020 South Scotland. And I've got Heather, who's the Governor-elect for 1010 for Scotland North. I also see we've got our Rotary Director on, so welcome as well there, all the way from Dunoon.
It's a pleasure to be with you.
Jason, a particularly warm welcome to you, and thank you very much for agreeing to speak to us tonight as well. Jason has got huge diverse interests and experience. He loves to make membership memorable, I see on his screen, and he loves to create meaningful change and have fun as he goes. One of the things his motto says is, use what you love to fight what you hate. He's a past president of the Downtown Rotary Club of State College, Pennsylvania. He's a radio personality on WBHV. He co-owns a streaming media company, AW Rebels. He's spoken at international convention. And it's an absolute delight that you could be here tonight. And with no further ado, I'm just going to hand over to Jason.
Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. How are you all doing now? Okay, today, if you expect to just sit there and not engage, you've come to the wrong place. So, real quick in chat, I want to make sure that your fingers are working in chat because that's where we're going to be mostly chatting today. Folks, type D1010 if you're from District 1010. I want to see how many people from District 1010 are in chat. Go ahead and type D1010 if you're in chat. Okay, we got Philip. Okay, we got Victoria, Heather, Ross, Alex, Caroline. Okay, Mike. All right, all right. Those letters equal D1010. I accept that. Ken, Neil. All right, that seems pretty good. Can I get District 1020 in chat? Can I see how many people in chat from 1020? Okay, all right. Slow moving. All right, you're getting there. 1020. And last but not 1230. Who's from 1230? I'm going to see that in chat. Okay. All right. Get those fingers moving. All right. Okay, seems like you guys are ready. Seems like you folks are ready to go. My name is Jason Browne. Today we're going to be talking about making membership memorable today. We're going to have a little bit of fun. We're going to have some conversation along the way. The way this is going to work throughout the conversation, I'm going to be asking a number of questions. And feel free to respond in chat. And even if I keep moving on to the next point, keep the chat alive. Keep talking about it. You don't just have to sit there listening to me. Use this as an opportunity to talk to each other today. All right, everybody. So again, Mike's muted unless we keep chat alive with the ideas and the responses. So if we could toss up that first poll of the day, the only formal poll that we're going to have is going to be the following. And I want you to think about this while we go along. If you had to choose one, what's more important? Membership growth or membership retention? If you had to choose one, which one would it be? Membership growth or membership retention? Go ahead and get those votes in. Go ahead and get those votes. Oh, you're voting. Oh, it's neck and neck. Yikes. Wow, this is a lot closer than I thought it would be. A lot closer. 87% have voted. Wow, this is neck and neck. All right, everybody in chat, I'm going to ask you to start typing in your responses as to the reason why, because I want everyone to see what those answers are as we continue to go forward. 40 to 45 currently. You can leave that up for a little bit longer. But why did you choose growth or why did you choose retention? If you had to choose one, which one would it be? All right, let's get this thing started, everybody. Today, we're going to be talking about making membership memorable. We're going to be talking about making membership memorable. Or as I like to say it, make M&Ms. Membership is the most important aspect of Rotary. Without great membership, we do not have great clubs. Without great clubs, we cannot support the foundation or our service projects. Anything of quality within Rotary requires quality membership. So membership must be an important aspect of Rotary. Looking at some of the comments, the future of Rotary. Why did you respond to either growth or retention? Need younger members in Rotary. No point of growing if you can't retain. New members, new ideas, new leaders. Retention because of experience. Some of these are really good ideas. Keep those ideas coming. Keep those ideas coming. Just as important of knowing that membership is key is the fact that we need to change our approach to membership. We already saw a couple of ideas in chat. Our President Holger has said that in recent years, we have failed in our efforts to grow Rotary, and we need to change our approach to membership. He asks us not to grow for growth's sake, but be intentional and purposeful by adding and sustaining membership. This is the question that we're looking at right now. To continue to impact our communities, we must make membership a key component and core to all of our efforts. We must make membership memorable, and we must make M&Ms. But before we get started, I want to bring attention to the fact that our M&Ms are now covered with something. Our M&Ms are covered with something. Even the ones sitting on your desk, Ken, even those are covered in something. And unfortunately, it's covered in a layer of COVID. Covered in a layer of COVID. So as we continue to talk today, just know that COVID is an underlying thought that should be here. As we think about making membership memorable and making M&Ms, we must think of internal club members and prospective club members. Internal and prospective. To see both clearly, we will break down M&Ms into internal and prospective point of views. So again, internal members are your current members. Think about like retention. And the potential members is everybody else, and that's where you'll get your growth from. So as we dig into what M&Ms are, just keep that in mind. Now, I'm not sure how many of you know how to make M&Ms, but it's difficult. Each barrier we run into, COVID is the multiplier. And as leaders of our community, we will run into 3 barriers related to membership. Lack of communication, information overload, and status quo. Each with a nice coating of COVID. Lack of communication, information overload, and status quo. Those are the three things that are going to be running into us to make membership memorable. The first barrier in making M&Ms is lacking connection. Internal to your club, think internally. You are physically not with the clubs every week. We are now on Zoom or some other technology, and we're going to have to find a way around that. You log into your meeting probably in your pajamas from the waist down. You rarely meet for projects. Since COVID, there has likely been a reduction in the connection with your members. Externally to your club, think external, outside, your opportunity to deeply connect with others has changed. Before you could be out there in the community, before you could be people of action and more easily show the world, before you can meet people and easily meet for lunch or dinner or connect with leaders in person. So how do you make membership memorable if you lack connection to the club or community members? It was already difficult, and COVID just made it a little bit harder. So one of the first questions that we're going to ask is, and you could just type in 1 or 2, what's more important? The connections between the members in your club or the connections between the public and your club? You can choose 1 or 2. If you had to choose 1 or 2, which is more important, the connections between the members in your club or the connections between the public and your club? Go ahead and put your response in chat. And let's see, we have number 2. James says 2. Duncan says 2. Jim says 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2. Yes, our attendance is higher also to number 2. We're talking about taking number 1s and number 2s here, y'all. It's a very highbrow conversation. So we see a solid mixture of the reasons why you chose one or the other. Go ahead and continue to chat and let each other know it's the reason why you chose the one you did. And facilitators, ping me or stop me at any point if you see any really quality answers that you, actually we'll stop for a second. Are there any comments from anybody that's been out there so far that you think that we should bring up?
We've just got, are you looking for general questions or feedback from us, Jason?
Uh, Either one. I was hoping that either your feedback or if there was any points that were made in chat that you might want to share.
Yeah, so we got people saying that in terms of the first poll, that it's really important that their own club is right in terms of attracting other members in anyway, but also that member retention is important because you need the experience in your club to make it a successful club. And then others equally saying that you also need to promote a good experience. But I think overall people are saying, look, both are important here.
Gotcha. Thank you, Heather. Thank you, Heather. All right, keep that conversation going in chat. Make sure you explain the reason why you chose one or two. Going to the second one. I'm going to keep moving, but keep the chat going alive. The second barrier in making M&Ms is information overload. Now think internal to your club. There are many important areas of Rotary. Just counting the areas of focus and strategic objectives of Rotary, there are 10 different topics. There is only so much email that you can send. There are only so many Zoom sessions you can log into. Information overload. External to your club, for the folks that don't know a whole lot about Rotary, how the heck do you convey the message of Rotary to somebody who knows little about it virtually? How do you do that virtually? Sure, you can point them to Rotary.org and maybe you point them to your Facebook page where you only have pictures from your meetings that happened 3 months ago or Zoom meetings. But there's little to clearly explain what you do. So as somebody looks to explore what Rotary is, there's information overload. So how do you make membership memorable when there is Rotary information overload? It was already difficult, and now COVID just made it a lot harder. So the question that we're going to ask again, let me just point to see if some of these responses. Vital to keep Rotary profile high. Both are important too. Ongoing change process is not accepted by existing members. Hopefully the connections within your club will lead to an increase in the connection with the public. Good point. A cohesive club is easier to promote and develop, arguably. And all these points are arguable because our clubs are all different and we're made up of different folks and we all have different identities. So all of those are really good points. Next question up for everybody right now. If you had to choose, now you have 5 options. Okay? If you had 10 seconds to share one thing about Rotary, this is due to information overload. 10 seconds to share one thing about Rotary with somebody, what would it be? Would it be about fellowship? Would it be about community service, your personal Rotary story, area of focus, or other? If you had to choose one, 10 seconds. If you had 10 seconds to share something, what would it be? We have 1, we have 2, we have 4, we have 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2 seems to be the biggest one so far. It looks like 2 and a little bit of sprinkling of 3s are coming. 3s are making a comeback. All right. So it seems to be a tie between 2 and 3, community service and personal Rotary story. Now, why? Why are those the most popular ones? And why do you think that would be beneficial? Keep chat alive. I'm going to keep moving forward, but ask that question to yourself and share your perspectives. All right. The third barrier to making M&Ms is status quo. Let's look at this internally again and externally at the same time. If you play by the rules set by the tradition of your predecessors or the folks that have been there for a really long time, your ability to adapt to the current needs of your club may prove difficult. Innovation is necessary for progress. And as our lives change due to COVID, innovation and adaptation are key to survival. The world is drastically different today than it was a year ago. And has your club changed with it? Or it hasn't been stuck in the ways of the status quo? So, how do you make membership memorable when innovation feels limited by the status quo? It was already difficult. COVID just made it a lot harder. Let's look at some of the comments from the previous question about which one would you choose if you had 10 seconds. Let's see. Why did you choose number 2? More pertinent to local people. Community is where we get our members from. 3 includes all the others. Interesting. 3 was the personal Rotary story, includes all the others. 3 makes it easier to sell Rotary. A personal story is more understandable. Duncan, I see your point. 5, Rotary is in more countries than McDonald's. Now you're just making me hungry, Jennifer. Thank you. Thank you for reminding me I haven't had lunch. Yes, it's lunchtime for me, and it's dinner time. I'm hungry. The point is I'm hungry. All right, Alistair, Rotary has to evolve like a living organism, not an organization. I like that. So your next question up is, imagine, and this is something that I didn't want to make this multiple choice, but think about this. Give me a tweet response or less. Imagine your club didn't exist, but all of those members now want to start a new club and you are in charge. What would you change? What would be different between where you are today and if you were in charge, ruler of all that is your club, to start again, what would you change? Put something in chat, make it short, make it brief. You don't need to write a whole thesis here. Just give a quick idea of what one of those things could be. Nothing. Alistar says nothing. No meals, weekly meals, age limit, meals and no. Reduce costs and make it relevant. Philip, that is a very easy thing to say. Make it relevant. What does that mean? How would you make it relevant if you're in charge to start again? Serving the community. Why? What would you do differently about serving the community? There's meals popping up a lot in here, which deals with the internal point of view. There's not as many external points that are being brought up here. So just based upon what I'm seeing, it seems that even though we want to build and grow Rotary, at least 50% of us, most of the emphasis here of things that we would change are internal. So what does that mean? I have a few thoughts, but I'll let you figure that out and share that in chat. Let's keep chat alive. Keep on sharing your thoughts. Keep on the conversation going. So somehow we have to make membership memorable. Somehow you have to make M&Ms, but you have 3 barriers to make M&Ms. Lack of connection, information overload, status quo. Oh, and don't forget about that nice little coding of COVID. With these barriers, how are you going to make M&Ms? Facilitators, is there anything in chat that you want to bring to the bring up that you might have seen, maybe a comment from yourself or something you've seen in chat that I might have overlooked?
So Alistair, was it McClellan or McLennan said that Rotary was of, by and for the community, and without that we're nothing, which I liked.
Okay.
Desire for engagement with the community in a big way, some getting involved with local organizations, other volunteer organizations.
Okay.
Also, people are very curious about how you can shrink yourself down into the bottom of the screen while you're talking. That's been a...
Oh, you mean like this? Oh, you mean like that?
Cool.
Okay. I eat a lot of M&Ms, y'all. It gives you magical powers. Just letting you know you can make membership memorable and shrink yourself. I don't know why you would, but apparently everybody wants to do it at this current time. So let's keep moving forward. Keep chat alive. Keep sharing your thoughts. Keep sharing your thoughts about how to make membership memorable. All right, y'all. So how do we make membership memorable when we're faced with all of these issues? Well, let's ask my grandfather. My grandfather would have been a great Rotarian. My grandfather made M&Ms. Mr. Nelson, my grandfather, was never a Rotarian. Mr. Nelson never started a Rotary Club, but he did inspire membership in the Club of Nelson. Mr. Nelson grew up in a predominantly Southern African-American town, black town in the U.S. His family had little money, quality education was scarce, racism was abundant, there was a lack of community, opportunities were limited. But despite all these barriers, Mr. Nelson was able to get a college education and found ways to bring the community together. He formed Nelson Clubs of Nelson. When he became the principal of multiple schools, he created a Club of Nelson, a team of teachers and leaders. When he became a leader in national education associations, the local church, national professional fraternities, he created Clubs of Nelson, teams of national and community leaders. When he led efforts to install local sanitation and water systems, just like we do in Rotary, he created a Club of Nelson, a team of government officials and policymakers. To collaboratively and positively impact the community, Mr. Nelson worked to foster memorable membership in the Club of Nelson. It's pretty cool. But in reality, the Club of Nelson never really existed. But it felt like the Clubs of Nelson existed to those who he worked with, the members and the community. Mr. Nelson made M&Ms. Mr. Nelson made membership memorable. He's the reason why I became a Rotarian, even though he was never a Rotarian in the first place. He passed away about 10 years ago, but the clubs of Nelson are still going on today in his legacy. And during the time of when he was doing all this, there was no COVID. There was no Zoom. Polio was still a pandemic. But the foundations of creating M&Ms were there regardless. Let's take a quick look at chat before I answer the next question. I would like to love to shrink other people too. Duncan, so would I. You know, just shrink them down, put them somewhere. Don't have to deal with them for a day. We need a situation despite threats, only lost 1 or 2 who retired. What is the core view in this grouping about meals? Okay, the meals. See, these meals things are popping back up. Young people don't want to spend time eating. They want to do projects. Kath, that's a very interesting point. So I just finished talking about my grandfather in the club of Nelson. So let's hop into the next question to get you thinking. Outside of Rotary, where do you feel most part of a team? So remove your Rotary hat for a moment. Where was your membership memorable? Put all that you apply. It could be church, it could be a sports team, it could be school, it could be with your family or your partner, it could be other. And explain what the other is. But where else did you feel like your membership was memorable? Family, sports team, family, sports team, 14, church, 2, 3, 4, sports team, school is another one, 2 and 4. 2 and 4 is the biggest. 4 and 5, other. Claire, what is have I got that right? Eileen, work is a place. Lifeboat fundraiser, community group. Thank you, David, for that. A hill walking group. There's a 2, 4, 4, 4. So a lot of 4s and a few interesting 5s. As we continue to go through this, think about the reasons and the differences between what makes those memorable and what is not in your club. What things do these things have that your clubs do not? What's missing from them to make them just as memorable? Or what can you bring across the table? What can you steal from these places and ideas to make membership more memorable in Rotary? Go and share those ideas in chat. We're going to keep things going. So, we still have to make M&Ms. But remember, there's 3 barriers to making M&Ms. Lack of connection, information overload, and status quo. Oh, and don't forget about the coding of COVID. So how do we address all this? How do we get around all of these things? Mr. Nelson got around them, but how did he do it? The lack of connection barrier had little effect on Mr. Nelson because he had a clear vision for himself and the community. Mr. Nelson had a strong identity. The information overload barrier had little effect because Mr. Nelson we're going to skip that question. The information overload had little effect because Mr. Nelson understood what and when issues needed to be addressed and communicated. He had clear public image and was business minded. So he had clear public image and was business minded. The status quo barrier had little effect because Mr. Nelson adapted, innovated, and operated without fear. Mr. Nelson created change and did not wait for it. He was fearless and was innovative. Mr. Nelson made M&Ms. He made membership memorable. He had a strong identity. He knew who he was. He had clear public image and was business minded. He was fearless and innovative. These were the ways that he built the basis for creating M&Ms. Now, let's talk about strong identity for a second. Having a strong identity, because that's super, super duper important. Let's go back for a second. Let's stay here for a moment. Strong identity. Having a strong identity allows you to properly shape all of your efforts. What are your club values? What are your club goals? For those with a mature club, have you done strategic planning? Why does your club do the things that it does? One tactic to uncover this is asking the question why 5 times. Why does your club do the same fundraiser that you've been doing for 5 years? Well, why do you choose to do that? Well, why do you choose to do that? And by the end of it, you'll uncover what the root thing is that shapes your identity. Once you form that strong identity, though, once you figure that out, strategic planning, and Rotary provides a lot of tools for you to be able to do that. Once you do that, you can then determine the demographics that are most appropriate for recruitment. You can't be something to everyone. I'll say it again. You can't be something to everyone. Once you find your identity, nurture it. Find ways of keeping that identity strong. Most likely your answer to some of these questions brings attention to some of these elements. Bring these elements to your club and find ways of making membership memorable, just like Mr. Nelson. Make M&Ms. All right, in chat, real quick, I'm going to go back to my question. I put this here. All right, the question is, does your club have strong identity? 1 or 2? Does your club have a strong identity? 1, yes. 2, 2, 2. Mostly 1s, 2s. 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1. Mostly 1s. I would say it's like 33% 2s at this point. Okay. I want to challenge you to think that I honestly, I have not seen, when I visit a district and talk to clubs, in reality, once we have conversations and are able to spend a little bit more time, those 1s seem to drop off. I want to challenge you to think for a moment and not assume that you have a strong identity. I want you to assume that you do not have a strong identity and think about how you could make it strong. What is missing from the identity of your club? What is your selling point? What is your product? What do you provide to the community? Why are you there in the first place? And more interestingly, do you have a different perspective than all the other members in your club? You may have an idea. Maybe the person in your club sitting next to you has a different idea, but as a collective, do you collect? Maybe that's the way I should phrase this. Does your club collectively have a strong image? Okay. Before I continue moving forward, facilitators, anything from chat that you want to bring up?
The big thing about a new identity, then you've not got your community behind you, and you need the community behind you is a big chunk that's sitting in the chat. We need to be seen in the community and work with the community.
Need to be seen. Go ahead, Heather. Sorry.
I was going to build on that and say, I think what's really interesting is that quite a few people are saying that their club was really active during lockdown because of COVID. So the sense that you get is some clubs have almost reconnected with their communities. So how do they build on that, as Ken was saying?
How do they build on that when you're not able to be as out in the community as you were previously? The community provides a strong identity, allows you to shape that. I still think that's backwards. I think that it's not, okay, let me say that's not backwards. It is not the full picture. It is my belief that in order for a club to serve its community effectively, the club itself must have a strong identity. That way you can recruit people more effectively, you can market yourself more effectively, the programs you put out are stronger and have more of an impact when your club has a stronger sense of who it is and what it does. Once the club understands who that is, it will be able to find its place within the community. But I do think the club also needs to be receptive to the community's needs and not just go off on its own. But I think the starting point it's like a chicken and an egg situation. But if the club but at the end of the day, if the club itself does not have a strong identity, lacks that identity, it can't serve the community as well. Furthermore, going to your point about creating things in the community, it is very difficult right now. We're not going to be able to get into it today, about the things that we can do in the community to make things a little bit stronger, to serve our communities well in the time of COVID, with this coding of COVID. But I've seen a number of super creative solutions. In fact, my club just had an event this past weekend. Didn't raise a whole lot of money, but we were out there. We were able to raise money for some good causes. And people are coming up with new ideas all the time. I'll give you one example. One example is that there's this one local, this is not even a Rotary group. This one nonprofit in our town decided to put on a, do you have like drive-in restaurants? Like, did you grow up with drive-in restaurants? Anybody? Just tap me in chat. Just say, yeah, give me a yes in chat real quick. Like drive-ins, like you would pull up and you would, okay, right? Maybe like a drive-in movie theater. Basically, you would be in your car and you would be able to go up to a place and drive in, order your food, and they bring the food out to your car. What they did here was, and I don't know, I'm sure there are differences culturally, right? What they did was they worked with a mall because nobody's going to malls. They closed down the parking lot. They had food trucks there, and the food trucks, people would put their menu on their windshield. They grab the windshield, write what they want. So people in roller skates will come by, pick it up, COVID, mask and everything, bring it to the place, bring the food back out to the car. While people were sitting in this parking lot, they also had music playing. I believe they raised over $10,000 just for that one event, and it was socially conscious, it was COVID safe, and everybody had a really good time, and it was super unique. There are tons of ideas out there to be within your community, and you don't have to be that far and that aggressive and that hands-on. But my perspective is that this goes back to the innovation portion, which we'll get down. Actually, we'll just hop to it right now. The innovation portion of this, of understanding what we need to do to innovate. Now is the time to start fresh. If there was ever a time where your club could do something brand new and try something without worrying about failing too hard, now is the time to do it. Because there's so much unknown, there's so much change. Just try it. COVID has changed everything for a lot of us. So now we must innovate regarding membership. If Rotary does not change with the times, especially now, we are missing out on a huge opportunity to grow and increase relevance. Imagine Rotary was the one group that brought a bunch of people together to do the one thing in the community that's like, wow, I didn't think that we could do that this year because of COVID. And you're like, well, look at us. We did it. We did it. So my point is, like, we have to find ways of being innovative and not being afraid to try something new. You have to innovate just like Mr. Nelson did to create M&Ms. And I believe that all of us can do the same thing. How does he do that? The pandemic. How does he do that? Okay. He's showing up. Hey, listen, we can talk about important things and have a little bit of fun along the way too. Are you all still having fun with me? I'm running over my time a little bit. Are y'all still having fun with me? Give me a yes or a no in chat if y'all still with me having a good time. Yes, yes, plenty. Yes, yes. Yes, 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 yes. Awesome. Thank you. And if you say no, I'm still your friend, but it looks like you're outweighed. Looks like you're outweighed at this point. So thank you for the support now. All right, y'all. Let's hop into 2 quick points, public image, and I'll make these 2 points short. Public image and business mindedness. So when it comes to public image, and this goes to the conversation of what we just talked about, we're not always out in the community right now. But having a clear public image allows you to attract the people that are most appropriate to your club. The other day I was talking to a club, it's a new e-club, which is an electronic club, which only meets through Zoom and other platforms like that. When I was talking to them, they started asking me a few questions. They were like, how do we attract young people? And I gave some generic response. They were like, well, what do we do about, making sure our social media is effective? And I gave them a generic response. And then I was like, wait a minute, hold on a second. We're missing something here. And while this was an interview for me to help them, I then took 10 minutes to listen to what they were doing, the identity portion, who they were, what was their purpose, what do they want to do in the community, where do they see themselves, how are they adjusting to COVID, all of this. We took 2 minutes to talk about this. And at the end of that segment, we realized the fact that the youth that they wanted to go after is probably not their demographic in the first place. They didn't understand that in order for them to be most effective and understand who their target audience is and have a clear public image, that just by saying that you want young people isn't enough. Understanding who you are, what is your product? Your club is a product. What you do in the community is a product. It's like what's on the shelf. Is when you go to the store, you pick something off the shelf, you put it in your pocket, you buy it. When somebody wants to see what's happening in the community and choose to join Rotary, they choose to buy the product. And that product has a certain demographic, has a certain market segment, and you have to figure out your identity before you can figure out where you need to market yourself most effectively to. Clear PI, especially when you allow yourself to be a part of Rotary International and use all of their branding at Brand Central, you're able to be more effective in the community and make M&Ms. I'll hop into the business-minded stuff. All right, real quick question. Let's see, which one do I want to do? I'm trying to make sure I keep things moving. Okay, quick question. How many of you have owned your own business or own your own business currently? Like you've owned a business. Everybody say yes in chat, a Y or yes in chat if you've done that. You've owned your own business at some point. No. That's fine. That's fine. There's a lot of yeses in here. Yes, since 1983. 1980. That's a very good year, by the way. So that's a very good year, by the way. Just saying. No. There's still a lot of yeses. My question to you is the following. Does your club effectively leverage the business skill sets in your club? 1 or 2? Looks like 2 is heavy. 2 is super heavy. 2 is super heavy. We're at like 90% 2s here. All right, I'll just shrink this whole entire point to a little tiny. Do I have it? Hang on, I didn't put it in this one. My point is this. There are so many skills if you looked at Rotary like you did your business, there are a lot of things that we would do differently. Now we have to be careful because we're all volunteers. Yes, I'm not suggesting that we operate like a business completely, but just take public relations or PI for an instance, or how you want to innovate in a time of COVID. What tactics are you using and what perspectives are you using in your business practices that can help you succeed? Mr. Nelson did that. No matter what he was doing, he used what he learned from a business side to create the communities that he did and was able to be successful. Not only do the people in chat today probably have some skill sets that would benefit their club, but there are people not here in chat that have even a lot more skill sets that we need to ask to use those skill sets to build the club effectively. If we are supposed to go out and ask somebody to join Rotary, we can ask a member to, hey, you have finance experience. Can you make sure our books are well? Hey, I know you run a marketing firm. Can you make sure that can you help redesign the PR situation? Like, leverage the business skill sets we have in a club so that we can make membership memorable and make M&Ms. Let's see. Okay, couple quick little things, and then I'll stop talking for a little while. I do want to show you this. I want to show you the reason why it's super difficult for us to be able to connect with each other when we are in the time of COVID. Imagine, now I'm kind of going off the script a little bit. Imagine you're out walking around with your, doing your thing, going to the store, right? You're outside and you're out and you're doing your thing on the sidewalk, right? All of a sudden, you're like, oh, my goodness, I just stumbled upon a Rotarian. Oh, hey, buddy. How's it going? And you're like, okay. You're like, all right. Hey, Fred, how's it going? You're not wearing your mask. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. You want to join a Zoom meeting? I have a Zoom meeting you want to go. I've been on 45 Zoom meetings today. I don't want to go to another one. But you see, Rotary has so many cool things about, the areas of focus in polio. I'm busy. I mean, they have did you see the Rotary opens opportunities? I know I have a lot of opportunities, but listen, I just think that you should join my meeting. I'm just going to go since, I'll see you later. Excuse me. Can you come? I'll call you. It's in 10 minutes if you want to hop on Zoom. It's all right. It's okay. So I meant to do that a lot earlier, but my point to that was like all the barriers that we were talking about today, those were exemplified right there. That's how you do it. And that's the reason why it's really difficult to connect with people and make membership memorable right now. But hopefully some of these tactics that we just talked about, using these 4 items right here, allow you to do it. One more thing I'll do, and then I'm going to wrap up, is the following. So when we think about membership and we think about Rotary, I want to bring attention to my grandfather again, Mr. Nelson. Now imagine this. Right? No, don't worry about that question. Don't worry about that question. Now, if you had Mr. Nelson in your community, go back to think about Mr. Nelson and all the M&Ms he created. Is it the best idea to, one, ask him to join your club, ask him to start a new club, or partner with him on projects? We have ones, we have threes, we have threes. We have a lot more threes than ones. We have a lot more threes than ones. Please raise your hand if you have a question for Jason. Ones and threes, ones and threes. You got to choose one. Liz, Mike, you got to choose one. Just a single one. All right, we have a lot of threes here. We have a lot of threes. Now, let me make the point as to the reason why that might be important. Now, and please explain to us the reason, the ones in chat. Explain to us the reason why you want to ask them to join the club. Yep, why one? Okay. Now, imagine this is Mr. Nelson. I know, he has a great smile. This is Mr. Nelson right here. He's in your community. He's an entrepreneur with a great network of professional contacts. He also volunteers at charities. You know, he has a lot of money and he's super, super cool with like a lot of cool friends. Like he does a lot of great stuff. You know what I mean? Like he has all of these things going for him. And he's in your community, just doing it up. Mr. Nelson's super cool. 100% cool. You know what I mean? Just 100% cool. Now, imagine if Mr. Nelson is hanging out and a bunch of Rotarians just walk by with their mask on. It's like, hey, Mr. Nelson, would you like to join Rotary? Mr. Nelson's not going to be so smiling as much anymore. Who in chat thinks that Mr. Nelson would join the club? Anybody? Anybody think that Mr. Nelson would join the... Anybody else think that Mr. Nelson would join the club? No. Right. So one of the things that we need to do more in Rotary is partner with folks who are like Mr. Nelson. Does he want to be, does he want to build a new club? Probably not. He has his own thing going. He's his own Miss Club of Nelson. But what we can do is partner with these folks to create more memorable moments in our communities so that people are not only more aware of Rotary, but we're making more of an impact on a regular basis. Mr. Nelson, we need to partner with Mr. Nelson, not always put them in our clubs. All right. The barriers are significant, y'all. Lack of connection, information overload, and status quo, all with a coat of COVID. And to overcome them, we'll need to use Mr. Nelson's techniques, have a strong identity, have clear public image, and be business-minded. Be fearless and innovative. You can make membership memorable, and you can make M&Ms, but take care of your M&Ms so they don't melt away. Everybody? That's been my long presentation that I did not expect to take as long, and I am done. So please let me know if there's any other questions that you want to chat about in chat. Sorry if I kept you a little bit longer than expected. Hopefully you had a good time.
We've had a great time. If people want to ask a question, please put it in chat. If you really want a very short question, under participants, click on raise your hand and we'll see that. We've currently got 100 people on, 99, we've dropped one. So
I only lost one person. Yes! Okay. Thank you. I appreciate the kudos. But give me some questions, y'all. Give me some questions. Heather, I see your hands up. Go ahead.
I had my little thumb up, but seeing as you've picked on me, yeah. You got quite a lot of engagement around that transferability of skills, you know, business into clubs. And that seemed to get quite a lot of people thinking, oh, right, but actually then starting to say, but do we know even not just the business skills, but what skills we have in our clubs? You know, and actually how are we gathering in that information? I suppose people were just looking for a bit of insight about how they might do that, sort of skills audit-wise, good examples of where that's been done well somewhere else.
Sure. One of the things that we did in our club is that we had somebody else who's a facilitator. Like here's an example of using resources that weren't in the club, or an example of just a time where we thought that would be a better situation. We had somebody come into our group who handles this, who works with companies and helps them identify skill sets that need to be used more. And through that process, that we were in the process of developing our strategic plan, that was helped us to be able to pinpoint some of the skill sets. Quite frankly, it doesn't take much. There are tons of games online. If you just Google professional, if you just Google, I can't think of the keywords at the moment. I'm drawing a blank. But if you Google around this concept, there's a tons of exercises that you could have to pull out some of this information. Google is your greatest friend. And again, if you're sitting there and you're trying to figure out how to find the best skill sets, how would you do it in your business? You have a staff of 10 people. You have a new project that's coming out. How do you identify out of those 10 people who need to be a part of that project? Well, you got to assess them somehow, and you would do it at a daily job. But for some odd reason, we failed to figure out how to do that in Rotary, and that's part of the process. So there's a lot of games. You can ask me to come in. I'll help you out. But that's part of the thing is that. Other questions that might be there. Maybe some points that I might have missed in chat. Chat was going by very quickly.
Now, Jason, there's a couple of points in here. How can you introduce young people into a club of seniors? They take one look and say, no thanks, I'm off. And somebody else said, pretty senior club, how can we bring them in? What's your thoughts?
So I'm going to say that what is your identity? Is your identity something that that younger group identifies with? And if they're taking one glance at the projects you're doing and taking one glance at your meetings and how you operate and your happy hours, and they're just like, no thanks, well, then maybe getting them into your club isn't the right idea. Maybe the best idea is to partner with a few folks who are younger in the community to figure out how you can enable them to do something awesome. Imagine like you have a crew of 3 or 4 people in town, movers and shakers. They're young, they're hip. You, with your business mindedness, your experience, you with the resources in Rotary, allow them to partner with you to do something awesome. Hey, y'all, you want to come to a meeting and just brainstorm some cool things we could do in the community? How can we help you do those things? Let us know. Rotaract. Why Rotaract? And maybe we can encourage them to Rotaract, but then we don't have to ask them necessarily to be in there first. Partner with them. Create the relationships that we as Rotarians know that are there. One more example I'll give to this point is something that I'm still developing, and I'm going to be including it in my presentations moving forward. So you get the beginning version of this. How many people in chat have an old school restaurant, like a restaurant that's been around in your town for a long time? Everybody type Y in chat if you have something like that. Like a restaurant that's been there for a long time, you're familiar with it, it's real good, it's a mom and pop shop, they've been there forever. Everyone in the community knows them, right? Also, how many people in chat have one of those trendy restaurants that's super cool, brand new? Everybody type 1 in chat. 1 in chat if you have a trendy restaurant. And you have a trendy restaurant with like new food. It's like a fusion of all this cool stuff, right? Are the same people who are going to go to the old school restaurant always going to go to the new restaurant? No. Is all the people that are going to go to the new trendy restaurant going to go to the old restaurant? No. What could happen is this, that old school restaurant could help this new restaurant be even bigger and better. Maybe you do some events where you do some stuff together. These two groups are different, and they're different for a reason. Creating new experiences for people in the community, not necessarily focusing them to be a club or be a member right away, I think is a key to building M&Ms and making membership memorable for not only people in the club, but for the community and everyone else. And over time, they're going to be like, wow, I didn't think this was possible. Our new restaurant is amazing. And those young people who you want to have in your club are going to sit back and be like, yo, those old folks are really nice. They helped me. And they made membership memorable. What's Rotary about? Well, I'm glad you asked. And that's how that conversation could begin, even though there's a nice coating of COVID. Any other thoughts or questions before I steal all of your evening from you?
There's lots about the what you're saying about the younger and the older group, and there's been lots of discussions in previous forum about maybe we need to start a younger group together and have them doing their thing and still keeping the seniors, allowing them to do their thing, because they've given decades of service to Rotary. But we need to start new clubs, I guess.
That is an option, is to start. I'm not saying that there's a one solution here. All I'm saying is that there are, each club is different, and age is only just a number. I'm not saying that age is a reason to segment yourself out. I'm simply saying that when you understand your identity, for whatever your identity is, if it differs from the community, some of the areas of the community that you're serving, then maybe you need to create another strong identity and build that up in your community so that can thrive and partner with Rotary to build and grow Rotary's name. And over time, when somebody comes to that group, how'd you guys get so successful? Oh, that Rotary Club. Oh, what's Rotary? Well, see, the thing about Rotary is that oh, Jimmy, did you know about Rotary? Maybe they can help us with our project too. Okay, well, let's go to one of their meetings and let's talk to them. I'm just saying that that's a good place to start.
Excellent. Jason, absolutely fabulous presentation. 1,000 thanks. We did find that 100th person and they came back on for a while. So,
yes!
We've just looking at the chats box, everyone has been absolutely delighted with the talk. You've given us so much to think about, and I'm sure everybody will take it on board. The M&Ms, we'll try and get this COVID covering taken off them and start enjoying some of these things.
Absolutely.
Thanks to the moderators, to Duncan and Heather, and also my fellow Governor nominee, Gail. Particular thanks, Jason, to for giving up your time. I guess your lunch is ready.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna eat like 18 sandwiches. I'm starving after this. Real quick, I just do want to say my name is Jason Browne. JasonGoRotary@gmail.com. JasonGoRotary@gmail.com is where you can find me. I'm sure also you can get my contact information from Ken or also from the wonderful facilitators. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for allowing me to speak to you. And if you ever need anything, feel free to reach out, whether that's related to membership in Rotary, whether that's with your own business, whether that's related to technology and you're curious to know how I do certain things. I'm happy to share that with you. So just reach out to me and we'll move forward. JasonGoRotary@gmail.com.
Brilliant. We're just coming up to our hour. We're at 56 minutes. We never overrun it. For those in 10:10, we'll be back next week. For those in 10:20 and 12:30, we'll have a joint Scottish one in a month's time. So Gail and Duncan and I will try and, we're not going to top this, but we'll try and have something that's good going on. Thanks very much, everybody, for joining us. Particular thanks to Jason, and we'll see you all soon. Thanks very much.
Bye, everybody. See ya.
It's a bit freaky having the two of you on at the same time.
I know you give yourself a high five. Ha!
That's fantastic.
Absolutely first class. Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
What's the dog's name?
Paul Harris.